Okay, let's go back to the basics so you're really convinced. Shall we? Shall we? Since there's no enthusiasm when you come, you know, and this is what spiritual knowledge is. Spiritual knowledge is spiritual. Spirit is energy, right? Can you see the spirit? Can you see it?
No, not yet.
Pardon?
Not yet. I'm getting it.
Okay. Who were you before you came to your body? Let's go back down to basics. What were you before you came to your body?
Light, so.
Light, soul, energy. What will happen when you leave the body?
You go back home.
Are you sure?
I want to.
Good. And you know, you need to be very, you know, you really need to think about this. You know, all the greatest saints say one of the best ways of finding out who you are. I mean, we all say, I know I'm spirit, I know I'm soul. It's so easy to talk. It's so easy to talk. How many people talk like that? Oh, I'm self-realized. I know I'm spirit. Oh, let's kill the other person. Oh, this person did this to me and that did to me. You know, we take everything so much on a personal level. When you take so much on a personal level, you can't know that you're soul and spirit. Because when you really know, you're just a mass of energy that has a job to do in this body, you won't take anything personally. I'd like to read to you something that our dear Maxine here, Priya, she teaches the class after me, and she got some scientific way of saying who you are. You know, Sri Patanjali's, the book's written 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. Now we're talking quantum physics is proving that everything is consciousness. And you know, if you look at ourselves, you know, even when you take a photo, right? When you take a photograph and you send it to somebody, and you know, you go to this magazine, will say, oh, send me the largest possible, because if you don't send me the largest possible frame, it will be pixelated. You know, if you look at the atoms in our body, we're made up of atoms. You think this is real, and this is our problem. Today we're going to cover this sutra. The problem that we have is we take everything to be real forever. Real forever. This moment is real forever. So when something bad happens, you take it in. Oh, this has happened to me. Oh, this. You feel personalized. You feel punished. You feel you've done something wrong. You take the guilt. And all this mind stuff starts. All this mind stuff. As if you're being punished, that there's a God in heaven who's going to pick on you. When there are millions of universes. Millions of universes. I mean, just look. This is not the one galaxy that you see here. There's so much more happening out there. So, let me just, I'm very proud of this student of mine. Okay. Nobel Prize winning physicists have proven beyond doubt that the physical world is one large sea of energy that flashes into and out of being in I couldn't read your writing there. Milliseconds, over and over again. Nothing is solid. This is the world of quantum physics. They have proven that thoughts are what put together and hold together this ever-changing energy field into the objects that we see. So why do we see a person instead of a flashing cluster of energy? Think of a movie. A movie is a collection of about 24 frames a second. Each frame is separated by a gap. However, because of the speed at which one frame replaces another, our eyes get cheated into thinking that we see a continuous and moving picture. Okay, this is just part of what she's got, and it goes on into more. And here, it's saying that what we presume is real is not really real. even in quantum physics, even in science. Science is proved beyond all doubt that this is all a mass of energy. So it is. So what are we made up of? What makes our world real? Our thoughts. What makes your day? What makes who you are? Your thoughts. You get up in the morning, my home, my family, right? My day, my job, my this, my that. You get, what happens with that my? You think it is all yours. And this thinking that it's all yours, then you create a feeling of possessiveness. And then desire comes to keep what is all yours. Fear comes because you're scared to lose what is all yours. So suddenly, because you have a thought that everything is mine, because I am real and all this is real, all these attachments, possessions, enter your mind. The fear enters your mind. Then what happens? The mind becomes distorted. And you will see the world according to your mind and your thoughts. Try somebody else to convince you that something is not real if you believe it. It's almost impossible to do until you realize who you really are. That's why ultimately in my sessions of healing or counseling, I always tell people, I can only give you so much information. And with psychology, you can only heal up to here. But if you find the ultimate cause of who you are, you can heal it all. Carl Jung realized, he called it the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind. And he realized until you got in touch with the superconscious mind, you couldn't heal. The superconscious mind in Sanskrit is what? The higher self. Or some people call it connection with God. It's not yet God, it's connection with the higher self. And that higher self is connected to what we call God. Let's forget the word God. Let's call it a sea of consciousness. Even if you go and look into a sea of consciousness, what made it create something? How did creation start? Scientists call it Big Bang. And now they're discovering that's been one big bang after another one through the galaxies. So where did it start? This is why even in the Catholic religion you have the prayer, glory be to the Father and to the Son and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and forever will be, world without end. And in the Hindu scriptures you have the same. There's no beginning, there's no end. In the beginning there was Brahman, and Brahman was all it was, and then there was the sound. Sound is vibration. Sound is heavier energy. Energy became heavier. If you look at Hindu mythology, it talks about how did the world create? Vishnu was sleeping, and while Vishnu is like the creator, and he dreamt of this world. He dreamt it all up, dreamt us up, and then one day he's going to wake up, and everything's going to be finished again. These are all ways to explain to us what consciousness is. But what is it really? What is it really? Who are we really? What is our life's purpose? Here Sri Patanjali told us last week as we read Sutra 2 and 3, the restraints of the modification of the mind stuff is yoga. And last week I explained when you learn to control your thoughts, restrain, doesn't mean repress, restrain. Be really clear about this. Repression brings on the same problems again and again and again. If you suffer from guilt and low self-esteem and you want to hide it and you want to pretend, you can hide it for a little while, but I promise you, somebody insults and pushes the wrong button, will come up again. So we're not talking about repression. Please understand this so clearly. Restrain. Watching the thought. Are you clear? Watching your thought and asking yourself, why is that thought disturbing me? Where is it coming from? So this is where psychology is important. You find out why you have this constant recurring thought. That's psychology. But once you find out, what do you do with it? Now, modern psychology, you go to a psychologist, for example, my father abused me or my mother abused me when I was young. Okay, so let's talk about it. And every week you go and you talk about the same thing and you cry about the same thing. What have you done? Have you allowed your mind to let it go? You found out the reason. What are you doing? You're reminding yourself of that pain every single week. The same pain. And then somebody tells you, forgive. How are you going to forgive if somebody keeps reminding you? Oh, you know, this happened. Talk about it again and again and again. You're never going to let it go, are you? Sri Patanjali tells us later on in the book, how do we help ourselves? By applying positive, new thoughts in order to let the old ones go. But you can't do that unless you are willing to find out who you are. Because it's very easy to tell somebody, oh, practice positive thinking thoughts, and I've seen that happen. Oh, think everything is fine, da da da. But it becomes a pretense also. It's another denial. It's a layer on top of another layer. So how do you heal? The Bhagavad Gita tells you the only way to really heal yourself or any problem in your life or any battle you have to go through is first thing you need to do is ask yourself, who am I? By asking yourself that question, truly understanding it, when the negative thoughts come, you restrain it and you say, okay, why am I taking this so personally? Why am I suffering so much? Is this real? Is it unreal? Who am I? And the Bhagavad Gita tells us, look at yourself, look at yourself. One day you have a baby's body. Next day you have a child's body. Then you have an adult body. And then you have an old person's body. In one life, your body has changed so many times. Even your body is not who you are. So why are you so attached to it if it is not who you are? If you understand that who you are is spirit and energy, and you are occupying this body, right? You're occupying it. Then you know the body is on loan to you. It's on loan to you. And guess what? I love to tell my students this. Each one is a designer piece. Because it's the truth. That's how amazing. And when I see that, then you have to ask yourself, okay, maybe there was consciousness. All consciousness, we're all a mass of energy. But some intellectual intelligence must have created us. I mean, if you just look at it logically, and you look at a computer, man created a computer that can do so many things, right? So many things. Without man, the computer cannot be created. So there must be some kind of energy in which the word God was created. Some intelligence, such a high intelligence that first started, building of itself, day and night, and a mountain of itself. So itself must have looked a little bit like the mountains as well, and the sea as well. And itself, the amoeba, the one-cell animal, to progress into many cells, to progress into, finally we get Neanderthal man, and then we come all the way down the road to Homo sapiens, who we are. So you can see there is a creative power that continues, and it continues through the creation. If you look at it logically, think about it. First came the one-cell amoeba, and then it decided to split itself into many. And then it became the reptiles, and then you got the birds, and then you got this. So it created of itself. Then we got the human being, which was our prize, wasn't it? Why? Because we, different from the animals, had an intelligence as well in order to decipher information. You see, this great energy wanted us to flow with life, to live with nature, to be as it was or is. to give of itself for creation, to create more, to build, to grow, to love. And what have we become as human beings? Not this greatness and this creativity. Let's you see all this modern New Age thinking, co-create with God. Co-create with God. What does that mean? A lot of people talk about that. All it means is, in us, we have this light that was part of this cosmic energy to co-create and work. And what can we do with this work? We can create beautiful mountains and beautiful sceneries and beautiful lives, but we got too self-absorbed. We got too involved with I want, I need, I have to have, with greed, with lust. This is why, in the older traditions, they say the 7 deadly sins, all the vices. Why does every tradition tell us that the vices is what keeps us away from our divine nature? And you look at anybody, in the 20 years that I've counseled, if I go down to the reason for being depressed or having problems in their life, they have broken one of the rules. They've had violence in their life, or they have given violence. They've lied in their life, or they've been lied to. All the basic things they have stolen, or they have been stolen from. And these are the golden rules that have broken families and homes. The greed, all that. If you break it all down, you find one of those as the reason for their discomfort and their pain. And what I have learned about human nature is naturally we suffer. Naturally we suffer when we're not in truthfulness. Naturally, when we are doing violence, when we're angry with someone, we suffer. Haven't you seen that? When you're angry with someone, you suffer. And you have to start to see this as reality. So the basic cure then is to understand, all of us have to understand, why this life, why this world, why this creation, and why am I here? And you're sitting here asking these questions. That's why you are here. Because there is something more in you. You know that there is spirit in you. And that many times you go out there and we see all the social life, and we see all the greed, and we see all the I wants, I have, and the comparisons, and you look at somebody else's life and you think their life is better than yours. There's jealousy. Why do I do all good things? Why do they get more than me? All I do is serve, love, give, and all I get is anger in return. Because you're constantly bombarded with that. You're constantly bombarded with that. But if you could learn, as the Yoga Sutras tell us, to go within and realize you can have it all. You can have it all when you start to look inside, because you are all. Because you are it. You're everything you dreamed of and wanted. You've just forgotten. You got so wrapped up in what everybody else has and looking outside and being angry. You just got so wrapped up that you forgot that the diamond was inside you. You forgot that you're co-creators with this divine energy. And when you understand, as Sri Patanjali tells us in Sutra 3, then the seer abides in its own true nature. When you can see that your thoughts make your world, and your negative thoughts make a suffering world, and your positive thoughts bring a happier world. And when that happens, then you say, who is the one that is watching these thoughts? That one must be in total truth, total witness, so it won't be lying, total consciousness, total truth, and total bliss, in order to see everything so clearly. Because when you, a human being, when you are in peace, can't you see things clearly? You can make decisions fast. You can do things really fast. And sometimes, when that happens, when somebody gets really sick in your family, or there's an emergency, I don't know, Have you noticed what happens to you? I don't know, all of you, but some people panic, I know. But with me, when there's an emergency, suddenly all the thoughts go out and you just focus on the emergency, you'll know exactly what to do very quickly. You just know what to do. You grab this and grab this and grab this and you go, how did I do it? You know, afterwards you'll say, how did I have the mind to do it? Because you're so focused. Everything's away and there's a force greater than yourself, comes and you just take it over. And later you might cry over it and later you might suffer. But at that point, what's happened? What's happened? You've restrained all the other thoughts because this one has to be attended to right now. Right now. It's urgent. And you have the power. And what happens? Whatever you need just comes out. Because that place, which comes from a selfless place, and what you want to do is the best for whoever's suffering, the best, quickly. It comes from such a selfless place. It's a world of energy because that gave itself to us was totally selfless. It gave it to us. It was selfless. So when we become selfless, we become very focused. And the only way is to restrain the mind. Bring it back. And then forget all those thoughts that make up your world. And I'd like to read something before I go into, sorry I'm getting so technical today, but I think it's really important that it goes deep in your mind. These two sutras are the most important and the rest of it is going to be not so difficult for you to understand. And I read something that I thought was really, really beautiful. Quantum physics shows us that the world is not the hard and unchangeable thing it may appear to be. Instead, it is a very fluid place, continuously built up using our individual and collective thoughts. What we think is true is really an illusion, almost like a magic trick. Fortunately, we have begun to uncover the illusion and most importantly, how to change it. So, in order to change it, you have to know it. So, here it tells us very clearly that many people come to me and tell me, oh, I've got this personality, I have this horoscope, and you know, my horoscope says this, or I went to this fortune teller, and this fortune teller said that, you know, if I don't leave this relationship, I will suffer all my life, and this and that, and I go, and who told you all these things have to come to pass? Oh, because this fortune teller is very good, and this one is very good. And I said, but yoga says, when you live in the moment, everything is fluid. You can, modern language, you people tell me, oh, I'm flowing with God. You're not flowing with God, you're flowing with the fortune teller now. Maybe that isn't your destiny. She's laughing. Maybe that isn't your destiny. But the wonderful thing about yoga is, did you hear? It's fluid. It's fluid. Nothing is set hard in stone. And that is our birthright. Let's make it really simple. Something horrible happens to you. You have two choices. Accept it and try to make yourself happy. Fight it, blame the whole world, and be miserable. Those are the two choices. Those are the two choices. You have no other choice. I would choose accept it. Now, how do you accept something if you can't because I'm so miserable, I can't? I'll find ways to divert my mind, try to be creative. Let's work with God's energy or the divine energy or the light energy. Let's work with something, keep my mind busy at this time when I don't know how to do this. Let me become more independent and not so clinging on to the problem. Because when we have a problem, what do? We give it energy. Aren't we all about energy? We're all about energy, didn't you hear it? So you got a negative thing and you keep talking about it, it will just grow. That's where the saying, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. But most people love to do that. One small thing, they talk about it until it becomes such a huge mountain. is this where it started from? Do you know how many marriages I've seen break up because one partner doesn't like this cup here and that cup here, and for 10 years they're fighting about which cup, and one day it becomes a huge argument. I really don't understand why they didn't, why did they get so involved in where this cup goes and where this goes, and didn't they have any common sense? Is life only about a glass and where they should go in the house and that should go? Why can't people talk and discuss things? Why do they have to keep all this inside? Why? Oh, I'm fearful. If I tell my wife that she's lazy, she gets angry and then she screams at me. If I tell my husband that he does that, he'll scream at me. Why so much fear? Why are you so fearful? Why are you so fearful? Aren't you important enough to live a good life? Can't you tell somebody you love what you are feeling without feeling you're insulting them? Where's the guilt coming from? If you really love someone and something is really hurting, why can't you sit down and just tell them? Oh, they'll get angry. Let them get angry. No big deal. You walk away. You've told them. They'll mull it over in their mind. They'll mull it over. If you don't give it any energy, just tell nicely and sweetly. So this is all kind of mind stuff. So we get so involved in the small mind stuff. And here yoga is telling you, hey, don't get so involved. Remember who you really are. You were born alone and you will die alone. Correct. Unless you're so lucky to die with your loved one together, but not many people are, right? And then your own karmas will take you where you'll have to go. So, exactly. First thing, you have to know, the body is not permanent. It goes through so many different stages. Okay, so I don't get attached to who I am. I get what I need to know is what I am, what my personality is, and where I excel at. Everybody's been given gifts. Everybody. In the Bhagavad Gita, it tells you better to do your own dharma, better to do your own duty and your own dharma than to do someone else's duty and dharma, even though you're good at it. Because then you waste your life. And how many times I've seen people think that somebody else's duty is theirs. It's all thought patterns. They feel that what they're doing is not good enough. So they try to, you remember this story about one of the students abroad? Shanti?
Oh, yes.
There was one student who came to me and I had done a few talks in this place. And after the talk she said to me, oh Nalanie, I want to be a speaker like you. And she had that energy. Wonderful, may God bless you to do it. But, I didn't think she would do it right away. She didn't have enough knowledge, etc., whatever. So what happened, she did try to teach whatever she knew. Of course, it did not work. So the next time I saw this girl, and I try to give, I want to serve, I want to speak, and nobody comes to my classes, right? So I go, hey, I thought that was a future thing. First of all, what have you done to earn it, to understand it? Do you know who you are, what you are? And why do you think that you have to be a speaker? Didn't you tell me you're really talented in dancing? Didn't you tell me that you were really talented in writing? Didn't you tell me all those things? Have you done anything with those things that God gave you? And maybe through the dancing, you can speak like me. And maybe through the writing, you can be better than me. But why do you have to think you have to be doing exactly what I am doing? And you know what? I didn't even want to do what I'm doing. That was the odd thing, And there she was, a brilliant dancer, and what she did is she left the dancing, she left the writing, she left the teaching to do this. And of course, nothing worked in her life. And she thought, I'm giving, I'm serving, and nothing is working. Do you see how people get trapped in images? Then I had a long talk to her. Poor girl, I really broke her ego down. I wasn't very kind, but I thought she can't live in this misery forever. I said, first of all, you have young children. You need to bring them up first. Now your husband doesn't have a very good job, and you've become broke because you left all your jobs to try to become a yoga teacher. You're not going to ever be rich by being a yoga teacher, I can guarantee that. So people think you'll never get rich by it, especially when you're thinking you're going to get rich by it. Then it really doesn't work anymore. And so I go, and you're creating all this sadness and anguish with your partner because you think you were born to do that. And I said, all you've done is mess up your life. You have young children. What is your dharma when you have young children? What is your dharma? What is your duty when you have young children? You tell me. To bring them up. Is it not your duty to bring up your children? And if things are hard, then okay, one of both of you have to get a job, then you have to get a job, right? If things are hard. Yes, you don't want to leave your children with maids or whatever, because you can't afford them anyway. So you put them into, a nursery. There are many, many nurseries from 9 to 3 or whatever it is. And then you take a part-time job, but at least help out. Isn't that your duty to feed your children, not to leave them starving? Duty number 1. I said, I didn't teach yoga till my children were nearly grown up. And then I was working all day in a full-time job so that my children could go to university. I worked 23 years on my feet, and some of you know me. Standing all day in a shop, making windows, etc. Do you think it was my love of my life to do that? No. But I did it because I had a duty. Nowadays, everybody wants to escape from duty and do what's easy because it looks beautiful to do. Unfortunately, get real. So don't put so much mind stuff. The idea is, okay, here you've got very simply laid out before you, I told her, 2 young children, a wonderful husband. You have talent in dancing, you want to teach. But maybe it's not this kind of teaching till you're a little bit older, get more experience, and people feel your experience with life. And then you have a lot to tell people. But if you haven't lived life and you haven't experienced life, young people can experience a lot of life too. But you haven't. So you need to experience before people will listen to you. Anyway, she finally accepted my words, and then she started going back into teaching, and she got her job, and then she called me a month later and said she's using her teaching to take all these children, and they're going to do a nice show and raise money for a charity. And what happened? Class full. Class full. She sacrificed her own gift to be something else. Because in her mind, she thought that something else was better. But really, what she had was the best. Are you seeing what I'm saying? I've seen many people in very good professions leaving them, thinking that they're going to make this life in sharing goodness. But how can you share goodness when you don't live it with your own family? Do you see what I'm saying? Charity starts at home. Yoga is about living the best you can, and sometimes life is not easy. Most of the times it's very difficult. But those are our challenges. Can we go through the difficult obstacles and surf through the difficult times? Can we surf them? Or every time something goes wrong, we fall apart. Nowadays, in this world today, something goes wrong, people fall apart, panic attacks. Let's take the tablet and don't think. What happens? 3 months, 4 months later, they can't get up in the morning, they're feeling suicidal, because now the tablet is not working anymore also. And we've given our power away. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is to let you know that deep inside of us, there is this energy. There is this God. Whatever you want to call it, Jesus, Moses, I really, really don't care. It's irrelevant. It's an energy. It's dynamic. And when we are in connection with that energy, we can accept many things. And we can overcome many, many things. And never give your birthright away. And your birthright, as our master told us over and over again, is to be happy. I don't know how many times Sri Swami Satchidananda said, your birthright is to know truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. While you're living, it's too late when you die. We give our peace away to people. We give our power away to advertisements. We give what we have away to anybody who goes boo to us. Instead of sticking up for who we are and what we are as human beings, living the purest we can, the cleanest thoughts we can, the kindest thoughts we can. And when we live like that, we are at peace. And this is what we have to understand about thought patterns. It's all thought patterns. It's all thought patterns. That our thoughts create a world. You can decide to have rose-colored glasses or dark glasses. It's up to you. Our master used to say, look, the sun is shining. Isn't it shining? It's shining. But if you live in a house... Sorry, Andrew. It's so dark. It's so dark. Open the curtain. The light is available. Just do this. There! Turn on the light. It's there. It's here. It's for everyone. If it rains, does it only rain for me? Does it just rain for me? It rains for everyone. If the sun shines, does it just sunshine for you? It sunshines for everyone. Do you not think that eternal energy shines for all of us? Do you think some people are preferred to others? What's happened? You've lost your connection. You have lost your connection to that energy. And what stopped you? Anger, hatred, fear, all those things. The connection never left you. That connection is truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. And it never leaves you. We are so dynamically loved. And we have lost it. We sell it away for some little anger or some little car or some little house or for lust or for sex or for having that affair that just gives you that high for 30 minutes and then brings you down 24 hours. And then you have to live with the guilt for the rest of your life. Oh my God, what for? What have you done to yourself? What have you done to your life? And then I don't respect myself, I don't love myself. Then don't do it. Restrain. Oh, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, our daily knowledge, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. Amen. You know, Lord Jesus, when he was meditating 40 days and 40 nights in the mountains, as you know, right? I think you know, right? Do you know that? Mm-hmm. Okay. What did he say? He said the demon came to tempt him. The demon was the worldly side of him. The worldly side. I'll give you all this land, as many women as you want, everything you want. Just follow me. Even a great saint gets tempted. That's where the prayer comes from. If a great saint gets tempted, how much more are we going to get tempted in our lives, right? So temptation is there. It's not a punishment. Nobody's telling you, oh, I have to follow it. Watch the temptation, then you work out. Is it going to bring me joy, peace, or is it going to bring me a feeling of guilt later? Is it going to make me feel worse? Is it going to destroy this? And then you're able to go restrain the desire to do that thing that drives you into lust or greed. You resist the temptation because you have such a logical mind. You're focusing on your truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. And although it hurts, and Sri Patanjali tells us, when you take the path of goodness instead of the path of desire, it's going to burn. It's going to burn you. You're going to feel the pain. But don't be frightened of that pain. He tells you. Because after you burn, you will receive a beautiful gift. And Gurudev explained it. He said, he said it's like gold. You know, when you have a piece of gold, the more you burn it, the purer it becomes. The purer it becomes. but you're going to burn. It's hard to say no. It's hard to say no. And that's why all the greatest, Buddha himself, he tried the extremes, didn't he? He tried starving, he tried this, and he tried that. Nothing worked. And then finally the woman, the beautiful, you've seen the movie as well, right? The beautiful woman appeared before him. And he said, mind stuff. And the woman turned into a demon. And then the demon also disappeared. All disappeared. And he became one with consciousness. And then he said, go the middle path. And what is the middle path? It's not about what you want or what you don't want. It's about what is. What is? What is now? What is today in your life? Focus on that. And you can only focus on that when you learn to restrain the modifications of the mind stuff. Can you say that again? The restraint of the modification of the mind stuff is yoga. And then the seer, I like to point here because that's where I feel it is. The seer abides in its own true nature. Now you say, so I am the witness and I can watch my nature and I can watch my real nature and I can watch my worldly nature. As Lord Jesus said, be in the world, but you are not of this world. But be in this world. How to be in the world is the whole of the Yoga Sutras, the whole of the Bhagavad Gita, the whole of the scriptures. All scriptures that read how to be in this world and not of this world. And that is hard to do because it's like a balancing act. You're constantly aware. You're constantly awake. And that's why all the greatest masters also say, arise, awake, wake up. Wake up to who you are before it's too late. Live your life beautifully before it's too late. Why do they tell us that? To be aware that at every moment who we are. And that's self-realization, to know who you are, but to really, really, really know it. Master Shivananda tells us to use that chant. I'm not this body, I'm not this mine, immortal self I am. I'm not this body, I'm not this mine, immortal self I am. I'm not this body, I'm not this mine, immortal self I am. Repeat. I'm not this body, I'm not this mine, immortal self I am. Truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. In all conditions I am knowledge, truth is absolute. In all conditions I am knowledge, bliss, absolute. In all conditions. And you know, when you keep chanting that, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, mortal self, I am. You know, I always tell this story. I remember when I fractured my foot over in Barcelona again. In Barcelona, and you know, somebody left me to a house, and I was like, you know, hobbling, and my ankles sometimes hurt me a lot. And that time they were really bad because I'd just gotten better. And somebody had parked the car, and so when we finished dinner, we went back to the car, but she'd forgotten where to park the car. So we walked, and we walked, and we walked, and I'd been teaching all day and giving talks all day and walking all day, and that foot was like burning in pain. I think I was still on crutches at that time. It was burning, and then I was starting to feel, you know, when you're exhausted after a whole day of teaching, and then you're in agony because you can't walk another step. And then I thought, I'm not going there, mind. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. And I said to them, let's chant. They said, what are you going to chant? I'm not this body, I'm not this body, immortal self I am. And you know what? Within 10 seconds, she found the car. And I said, oh, you see, when you surrender and don't get involved in the pain. And you know, really, I didn't feel the pain after that. I really didn't. It was quite something, you know. And after that, I've practiced it a lot in my life. But that was a real lesson to me, how when you disconnect from the body, you can disconnect from pain. You know, Gurudev tells us very, you know, it's simple. You know, you have a really bad toothache, right? Boom, 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 boom. It's really horrible. And you go to sleep. Do you feel your toothache? The moment you start to open your eyes, oh my God, it's there again. What happened? What happened? The mind was away from it, right? So simply, the mind was away from the toothache. It was dreaming. Bring the mind back, to the body, and there it goes. So you see, you're really not your body, are you? The mind tells you about pain, and Sri Patanjali tells us, which I explained yesterday, further on in the book, pain that is yet to come is avoidable. Wow, because with knowledge, you can avoid pain. So like I avoided the pain of my foot and the op I had last year. Not painful. Understanding pain was how I looked at it. An exercise in understanding pain. An exercise in understanding the body and what it has to go through after a long operation. An exercise in healing. An exercise in knowing one's own power. An exercise. That's all. No big deal. Jeez, everything gets transformed. So it's no longer painful. It's acceptable. And then you can continue with your life without wasting time on feeling sorry for yourself or whatever it is, and going on and on for 5 years, the same story. I want to do this, but I can't because of this and because of this and because of this. And I tell people, you don't do it because of you, full stop. Full stop. Too much mind stuff. Too much because and why and if and I can't do it and I'm not good enough and this and what if I fail and what if I do this and what if I don't pass and what if it doesn't turn out right. All mind stuff. Just do it, and if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out. Big deal is your ego that doesn't like to fail. I'm like, oh, sorry about that. That's nice. Just turn it off. Do you know how to turn it off? The red button. Just press it hard. Who wants it?
I didn't check. Sorry. Not attachment for you.
I know, interesting. Who's me at this time?
I know,
Everybody
strange.
knows I talk on a Wednesday. So are you understanding this now? You're getting clear. Because the next sutra that we handle is a really good one. It says, because if you don't know who you are, at other times, the self, who you really are, appears to assume the forms of the mental modification. I'd just like to read this from Gurudev before I explain this further. Okay, 1 second. You seem to have lost your original identity and have identified with your thoughts and body. Suppose I ask you who you are if you don't identify with anything whatsoever. If you say, I am a man, you have identified yourself with a masculine body. If you say, I am a professor, you are identifying with the ideas gathered in your brain. If you say, I am a millionaire, you are identifying with your bank account. If a mother with a child, a husband with a wife. I am tall, I am short, I am black, I am white, shows identification with the color and shape of your body. But without any identifications, who are you? Have you ever thought about that? When you really understand that, you will see we are all the same. If you detach yourself completely from all the things you have identified yourself with, you realize yourself as the pure I. There is no difference between you and me. By correcting our vision, we correct things outside. If we can cure our jaundiced eye, nothing will look yellow. But without correcting the jaundice, however much we scrub the outside things, we are not going to make them white or blue or green. They will always be yellow. That's why yoga is based on self-reformation, self-control, and self-adjustment. When this reformation is accomplished, we will see a new world, a harmonious and happy world. That's why we should always keep ourselves free from these wrong identifications. How many times I have seen when, especially after I lost my husband, I have seen in many other partners, with the husband or wife, it's a horrible thing to lose somebody you love that deeply after a long time of being with them. It's almost like your soul is ripped apart. But the wonderful thing about yoga is, although the pain was there, I was able to say very clearly, and know this so totally, his body was on loan to me for a little while. He was my husband for 34 years. I'm very grateful to have a very good 34 years with him, but he's not mine and he belongs elsewhere. And his time with me is over and he's free. I could really identify with that thought. Now, after he passed away, I happened to do a lot of counseling with a lot of people who had lost their partners. But because they identified so much with their partner's life as theirs, many of them had to take a lot of drugs to give them some peace. And they identified with the sorrow and believed that they didn't have the right to be happy. And I found myself telling people and giving them permission to be happy. Do you know how guilty many people felt for being happy, men and women, because they had lost a spouse? I never realized that people felt so guilty. They said, we can't laugh again. I said, why? Who's told you can't laugh again? I said, do you think your husband or wife who's gone up there would like to see you miserable? Do you really believe that? Let's say, turn it around. You died. Would you like to see your husband or wife miserable and crying all the time? You can find no peace. You will have no peace seeing your family member crying. You're trying to talk to them, I'm okay, I'm flying. And then they're not hearing you, like, sobbing. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine when your children go away and you cry and cry and cry? Do you think your children will ever have peace thinking about you crying? What do you do to them? You trap them in your guilt, in your belonging, your possessiveness. So I said, no, you have permission to laugh and you'll make your partner happy. And do you know how many people I've had to give that permission to? Because they believed that their whole life was that, and they're not allowed to be happy again, and they're not allowed to be useful again, and their lives are finished. And I said, what an insult to the person who died. What an insult. Don't you think it was difficult enough for them to leave you? And then you turn into this nothingness. What an insult to the divine energy that you can't recreate your life and make something, at least honor the life of the person who died, rather than, oh, she's so depressed or he's so depressed, and nobody wants to be near you. They'll be with you for a little while till they get tired of you, right? Isn't that true?
Yes.
So this false identification. And then there was a woman who really taught me a lot about death. I really owe my learning to her, because she came to see me way before I lost my husband. And I remember she came to see me a zombie. She was a zombie. She said she didn't know what brought her here, and I really don't know what brought her here. And she came into the room stuffed with antidepressants. 3 months, her husband had passed away, and she couldn't go on. She wanted to kill herself. She literally was in a blank cloud. So I told her basically 1 hour explaining a little bit about life and spirit and whatnot. And she said to me, she said, I was an orphan. I was an orphan. My husband came along in my life. He took over. He looked after me all my life. I never had to worry about him. My only thought was, he made the money, he gave me nice homes, he was a publisher, I think some record company. She's allowed me to tell her story. She's no longer in Gibraltar now, she used to live here. And she goes, and they had a nice apartment, I think in Queensway Quay or something. And she said, he did everything for me. It was my own life, my whole life. And then suddenly he was diagnosed with cancer, and 6 months later he was gone. And she said, I want to die. And I said, you know why he left? And she said, no. I said, precisely. You never lived you. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you are? Do you know what you like? Do you know what you dislike? She didn't know. Every question I asked her was identified with her husband's role. There was nothing identified with her own role in life. Nothing. And no wonder I said, you know what? Your husband hasn't died. You died along with him. You weren't even born. And I said, I think he left you because he wanted you to live you as you are. And she said, how do I start? How do I start? I don't know what to do. I never had such a severe case ever. She was really in a dark cloud. What I did is I put her into deep relaxation. And I always pray, guide me what I can do to help this soul. And put her in deep relaxation. And I asked her to go back to his death, to say goodbye properly without all the panic that she had, because she panicked throughout his death. She felt she never said goodbye to him properly because she was too angry that he was leaving her. So she didn't do anything like quite proper. So she went into this dark space. So she talked to him in this deep relaxation. And she said, she's going to find herself. Please to help her. I don't know what happened after that deep relaxation, but she actually smiled and her whole face changed. And I had my little blusher mirror. And I said, look at you. This is who you are. You can be joyful. What do I do with my life? I said, didn't you say that your husband had a publishing business? Didn't you say your daughter is in London? Go there. See her. Then I told her to read the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. And I said, see if you like his business. You know quite a lot about him because you were always with him, right? Maybe it's your business. Anyway, she came to all the Tuesday. I used to teach on Tuesday and Wednesdays here. She came to all the Tuesday talks for 6 months. She read the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. She read a lot more Death and Dying, Christine Longacre, and whatever book she could get her hands on. She started to wake up to her life. And guess what? She started to run the company. And 6 months later, she said, I'm leaving, going to live in England, excited. She's now taken over the husband's company. Little did she know that she had this business side of her that she was never aware of and would have never come alive as a human being if he didn't go. And not only that, she ran it in his name and praised him for leaving that gift with her. It was really, for me, really interesting to watch. You see, she started to identify. You see, this is why yoga talks about non-attachment. Not because you shouldn't love anyone, you should love everyone, but no, nothing is yours. But loving everyone means loving yourself too. You are also a gift on this earth. But it really made me so happy. And then one day she brought her daughter here to meet me, and they both started reading all about death and dying. And I believe they went to the Buddhist center in London and became Buddhists at that time too. It's interesting. But a new world became open. You see how we identify so many things. Here Gurudev is saying, forget about these worldly, look how many layers we have to shed. If you didn't have to identify with anything, who would you be?
Free.
Absolutely, that's what we're searching for, moksha. We call it freedom, right? So know that in life you have a worldly place, but don't get so attached to the identification. One day a millionaire, another day a pauper. How many people during this crisis that we've had, this crisis, so many people take a gun, they identify with the millions go, shoot, bang, suicide. How many? So many. You'll read about them, just go into statistics, you'll see it. Why? They identified with money. So what you have to do is identify with your human personality, so long as it's necessary and it can adapt, adjust, and change as you grow. No fixed rules, fluid. One day, this day, next day, if God changes the direction, go with it. It's not about what you want or what you don't want. Just go with the flow. The conditioning is, so long as it causes no harm to anyone, some benefit to someone, yourself included. Can you memorize this? A perfect action is one that causes no harm to anyone, some benefit to someone, yourself included. So if you do good for somebody else and you feel miserable about it, please do not do it. It's not a perfect action. You do some good for somebody else about it and you feel great about it, continue doing it. It's a perfect action. You got it? So many people do good for people and they feel so, I did this and I did this and I did this, and don't do it. It's not the other person's fault that you do it and then you get so angry about it. That's not goodness. Do you think that's goodness? I see that's weakness. Goodness is if you do it and you want to do it and you're joyful. It's not about, oh, all these people, I do this for charity, I do this, and then they're so angry, and God doesn't give me this, and I have to pay a mortgage, and I do so much good. And don't do it. You know, you've lost the plot. You do the charity, it's supposed to make you happy, not miserable. You know, why are you miserable? Because you expect this. I'm doing good, so I get this in return. That's business, that's not service. You want business, why don't you go into business? But you go into God and you go into business with God. God's not about business. Life is not about business. You know, sometimes you can invest a whole life in a job. How many people have told me this? How many men have I had in my office in the years tell me, I've given my lifetime to this company. And the moment I retire, they've all forgotten about me. I'm nobody. Today I was, the top of this and the top of that. I leave, I retire, I'm nobody. And I have to spend my time in the coffee shop finding out who I am. How many coffees can I drink? How many golf balls can I hit? How many golf balls can I hit? Because there's no living in the soul. There's no living in the soul while they've been living their life. They gave themselves. It's not the company's fault. Because you never found out who you were. You never lived in the spirit. You never lived in the spirit. You never lived in joy. Everything was drudgery. Just get to work. Let's get so much money. I get to this, And somebody was telling me a story the other day. A lady came to visit my house. She's a friend who was extremely, extremely wealthy. And all he wanted to do, another job, making all the money. And she actually told him about a year ago, you have so much money. In the bank, millions. You never go on holidays. You're always leaving your wife to go to get this, more money and more money. Why don't you enjoy yourself? He says, maybe I'm getting tired of all this. He must have been about 65 or something. So he finally decided, okay, he listened to his friend. Good, right? He goes home with all these millions. His wife's got severe rheumatoid arthritis. She cannot travel. He's stuck. She's stuck. All that money, all the dreams of traveling together. When he retired, all the dreams of laughter. Gone. All gone. All gone. And she said, we're talking about yoga. Now, I work hard. My husband and I work hard. We enjoy each other. We sit in the evening. We look at the sun. And we're going to enjoy every minute. And when we work, they clean apartments, 40 or 50, I don't know. Really hard workers. We love our work. We never complain. And this is how we've lived for the last 6 months. And oh, Nalanie, I feel like I'm living in heaven. I'm so grateful. It made me so happy to hear that, And April of this last year, the same person came in miserable. Miserable. They had some money in properties and the property didn't sell and they were angry and arguing, and then suddenly, but who changed? They changed their glasses. Really life is short. Really, we're so blessed. Really. And because they changed, very quickly they sold their property. They themselves tell us at the satsang, they sold it after 1 week, after waiting 7 years. It's quite incredible how when you let go, it's almost that life gives you those lessons till you let go. If you don't let go, you keep getting it. You know, like my pain? Can't find the car. I was focusing on the pain. The moment I said, I'm not this body, we find the car. You think my friend parked it in the wrong place? No, that lesson was for me. To not forget who I was. I'm constantly reminded. I have to laugh. Thank you for another lesson. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the reminder. Do you see what I'm saying? The wrong identification. And this is what this sutra says. When we have the wrong identification, we think that is happening to us. We think our lives are miserable. We think we're going to fall apart. Or we think we're very wealthy. Or we think everything is so perfect, it's never going to change. My life is perfect. Nothing bad can happen to me. Oh my God, I get very scared when people tell me that, you know. Because something bad happens. I mean, it's life. There is suffering, right? You also see that. You also see that, like this man that she told me the story about, you know. So you never know what comes around the corner. And all the teaching is saying, we were created to co-create with the divine energy and to be part of this wonderful energy. If we don't, then we assume that we're what the mind tells us. And before I go on to the next few sutras, what did I want to tell you? Yeah, about identity. I forgot. Never mind. We'll go on to the next sutra. There was a story I was going to tell you. I'm trying to remember the story. I haven't told it for a long time. Yes, I'll tell you the story. It's a Sanskrit story that Paramahansa Yogananda used to tell. And it is, there is this man, and he's speaking to Narada, a great saint, okay? He's speaking to Lord Krishna, which is an embodiment of the divine energy, as Jesus is the embodiment of divine energy, and most of these saints are embodiment of this divine energy. When you flow in that, how you live your life, right? So anyway, he's talking to Krishna, and he's saying, you know, Krishna, I don't understand how human beings get so caught up in life. I don't understand, you know, can't they see how lucky we are that, you know, life is just a divine play? Why do they get so caught up? And then Krishna goes, oh, you're my good disciple. You know, I'm so thirsty. Please, can you get me some water? So Narada says, of course I'll get you some water. Go to earth and get me some water. So Narada goes down to earth and goes to get Lord Krishna his god water. I'll be back in half an hour, Lord Krishna. Sure. He goes through this desert, there's no water. Finally, he's, 2 or 3 hours pass by. This earth, no water. What is this? I promised Lord Krishna, I'll be back soon. Soon he comes to an oasis. And, it's evening time, so he knocks on this door. And the door opens, and there's this beautiful woman standing at the door. And he's kind of like, wow. And he goes, excuse me, Lord Krishna asked me for some water. Can you give me some water so I can take it up to my Lord? And the woman goes, oh, such a long day you've had walking through the desert. Please, come and sit and have dinner with me and my father. So, no, Lord Krishna is waiting for me. I have to take the water. Oh, Lord Krishna would understand. Half an hour, you would be hungry. You've gone through the desert. He's falling in love. So he sits and they have the dinner and time goes on. Okay, it's too dark now. I won't find my way back to Lord Krishna. I'll leave in the morning. They told him to stay the night. He stays the night. The next morning, the old father who's been so kind to him says, look at my beautiful daughter. She's such a good daughter. Where would you find such a beautiful woman? I have no son. You are both so attracted to each other. Lord Krishna is God. He will understand if you have a nice family and help me look after my animals and my cows. He would understand. And Lord Krishna is a Lord anyway. He can get his own water. Why would he need you? We need you. So he goes, it's really true. Lord Krishna is God. He can get his own water. So he agrees. And he's madly in love with this woman. They they marry, they have children, they have a great life, they prosper, everything is beautiful. And suddenly the rain starts. The rain starts. It rains and it rains and it rains, and the land starts flooding. And they go, oh my God, we're having a flood. The river has broken its bank. Come on, let's get the children. They have 3 children. The husband takes one on his shoulder, one in his arm. Sorry, they have 4 children. And the wife took the 2 children in her arms. And he got one in his back, and he's holding on to her. So it starts flooding, they're starting to swim away. But of course, he's so focused on this one, and she's focused on the 2, that the water flow is so strong that he lets go of her. And he goes, wife, into that, darling. And when she calls darling, one baby drowns. And the current is so strong, and she's baby, and all her life force is gone with the flow of the water, and he watches them drown, and he's screaming, God, why have you done this to me? My wife, my children, oh, why, Krishna, now I need you. And then while he's crying, the water comes, and the baby that's on top is gone. I can't save the baby, and the one in the arm slips off, and he just collapses into the water, opens his eyes. Oh, Lord Krishna said, I thought you went to get my water. What happened?
He got lost in the way.
So that is the story. And that's what the sutras are about. We're here for a little time. Enjoy it all, but remember who you are. That's all. Embrace all life. Live a good, clean life. Watch what stops you from seeing that you're really spirit in this body. That's why every day, and we're going to finish off with a little meditation, focus on going within. Going within, and feeling your life force, your energy. Because the more you awaken that life force, and the more you awaken the energy, the more the rising of the Holy Spirit, they call it. In Sanskrit, they call it Kundalini arising. Same difference. In Cantonese, they call it the Chi energy. It's all energy, you see. And so when we raise that energy, then we're constantly aware of what's going on. And we don't get lost, we stay. Doesn't mean you don't go through pain, you just don't cling to it. You don't prolong it. It doesn't mean you don't go through suffering, you understand it. That's the transition. And because you understand it, you become free. And when you are free, as Bhavani said, free, you can take good, you can take bad. They're the same. It's, one coin, heads and tails. Head and tails, you need 2 hands to clap. You need pain, you need joy to live. That's our university, to find out that we are one. You have to go through the duality to find the oneness. That's what, and to know that we're all energy. And this is a lovely article that I think Maxine got from the internet about quantum physics, and this sutra about attachment and being fluid, to realize that at every moment we can change things. We can change things when we apply the highest thinking. Be fluid. Don't stay stuck. I love that word, fluidity. We're made out of atoms. Nothing is set in stone. Yes, we have a certain destiny. How we look at that's fixed because of our actions and reactions. That's fixed. But how we deal with our destiny, that is not fixed. That can be changed with knowledge. So get yourself knowledge. Learn about who you are. Don't waste your hours, trying to get this and that and that. Use your hours to learn about who you are. Use it wisely. You'll find that you get very happy. And people will talk rubbish to you. Say, I have no time for nonsense, you know, because there's so much to learn. Every day you'll get up because there's so much to learn. So much to learn. We never stop learning. And and learning about the spirit, learning about your strength, learning about who you are. And then as you learn about it more and more, you get more connected to that sun that is always there. That even if the curtains are closed, you go, those are just curtains, I'll draw them over. Curtains of my mind. So you take your thoughts and you literally can do it like this and go, no big deal. Nothing's a big deal. It's all going to be over one day anyway. Isn't it? And you start to laugh. You just start to laugh. And that's when you become, like you said, that freedom. Don't cling. Don't cling to anything. The Buddha said, don't grasp. Don't grasp. As soon as you see that anger come out, let it go. Trust. Trust. It takes time to build it up, okay? And next week we will go into the different types of thoughts that exist in our mind. We'll break them down into 5, and then we will go into how to deal with these different types of thoughts that go on in our mind. All right? And all that will go much quicker than these first 4 sutras, because they're the most important ones, and you really need to go and contemplate it when you go home. You know, really, 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 like I said last week, write a spiritual diary, take a book, you know, and many people, after a while of meditation, become a little stale. We become a little stale in our practice. Re-inspire yourself, even though you meditate every day. Take a book, ask yourself in the evening, who am I? Who do I think I am? You know, what can I change to make my life more creative? You know, and you see yourself doing it, and you get really happy when you see yourself doing it. Re-inspire yourself. But don't say it has to be done. Allow the fluidity of the universe to guide you. And pray, make that your prayer. Guide me to be the best that I can. Okay? Guide me to be the best that I can. Don't beg for things. Guide me to be the best that I can, so I can make the most use of this instrument while I'm on earth, the best use of it. Guide me, universe, guide me. Show me where you want me to go. I make no conditions. You show me and I'll follow. All I have to do is keep this clean. All right?